appointments based on the CDC and MDHHS recommended prioritization categories. But the Rite Aid in North Muskegon are seeing any individuals with an appointment, symptomatic or asymptomatic. But in both instances, both of these community drive-throughs, you have to be 18 years or older, and it is a self-swab process.
There's labs that are just private labs. You know, if you need a blood test, you go there and they send it to their lab. Do they offer these tests?
You would have to check with them individually because they'd have to be sanctioned by the state to offer the COVID-19 test. But if they do, then we would get those results. But you would really have to check with the individual lab.
All right, thanks.
Madam Chair, may I ask her?
Certainly, go ahead, Gary.
Kathy, your numbers for amount of tests was higher on females by a pretty good margin. Is that because they're healthcare workers? And the second part of that is, have you compiled the amount of positives? How many of them are healthcare workers?
So we do respond to the, we do track like the occupation of the positive cases. And I would have to get back with you on the number or the percentage for that. The amount of tests and the positive tests for females, two reasons, and it's almost like we see it across many diagnoses. Females tend to go to the doctor and get checked out a little sooner than men do. Men will tolerate their symptoms much longer. And we do have a high number of females that is working in the healthcare industry, not just the hospitals, but the nursing homes and other congregate facilities. And they were in a category that was prioritized for testing.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, may I ask?
Kathy? Yes, go ahead, Ken.
Or Zach.
Either one of you.
Okay, my question, Kathy, do we know how many different strands there are of COVID-19 in Muskegon County? And basically for the state also, if it varies?
So the state has identified 3 strands in the state of Michigan, and they have not calculated that number by county as of yet. What they have done on a national level is identify one dominant strand that seems to impact people or individuals a little more drastically than the other 2 strands. But there are 8 strands identified globally and only 3 that's been identified in the state of Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
I had a question, Kathy. Is there a way that we could get the test site information that you just gave us in detail, as where they're at and what the criteria is for that? Maybe sent to us in a memo or a flyer.
Absolutely. We had a press release released last week, and I believe Kathy Tharp has a copy that may be able to send it to you right away.
and I believe we did
Not
get
that I'm
that.
telling her.
Yeah, we did get that.
But you
Ken-
named more
Ken,
than
did
what
you have
was
a
on that
question?
memo. That's what I was thinking about.
Okay, I will. I'll put that together then, Commissioner, and get that out to everybody.
Thank you. Ken?
Oh, nothing. I just
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, Kathy, what is the, have we tested the residents and the those that work in the jail and prisons in Muskegon County?
We have not tested all of the inmates in the jail, no. And then the state of Michigan Department of Corrections has tested quite a few of the inmates in the prison systems, but I'm not sure what that breakdown is. I know the positivity rate of those individuals were very high.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kathy, I have a question too. Is there any way to tell how many of the 391 people actually came down with symptoms?
We do have a list of symptomatic versus asymptomatic individuals. And the last I saw, there was approximately 30% that were symptomatic. Well, actually, it was like a little higher than 30%, probably 32-ish.
Okay.
But it's sort of a changing number as we go along, and I anticipate with the expanded testing that the number of the percentage of symptomatic will go down.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have a question for Kathy? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate it so much. And I
welcome.
appreciate
No.
the information you give to us too. It's very helpful.
Thank you.
Madam
Nick-
Chair,
Yes, hi, Relastine.
I'm on. I just wanted you to know I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please mark Commissioner Wilkins as present?
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will move on to public comment on an agenda item. If there's anyone in the public that would like to make a comment, if you'll go up to the top, there is a way to raise a little button that says more. You can click on that and raise your hand, and Kathy will call on you to speak to us. Kathy, if you have another way for them to do that, please let them know. Anyone wishing to have public comment, please let us know.
Nobody has raised their hand, Commissioner.
One, we'll ask for the third time. Is there anyone that would like to make public comment? Up in the corner, there's a little note that says more. You can click on that. It'll show you how to raise your hand. You have to do is click on it. Seeing none, we will move on. Next is communication. You will see some communication from Acosta and Livingston counties. Those will be included in your packet, and they already are included in your packet, and they will be included with the minutes. Next to the committee and board reports, courts and public safety, Commissioner Snyder.
Madam Chair, the Courts and Public Safety Committee met on May 5, 2020. It was recommended, and I move CPS 20/05-18. And I will read the entire motion to authorize the Public Defender's Office to enter into a contract with Attorney Kristen Gilmore for conflict attorney services on negligent/abuse cases. Contract shall be from February 1, 2020 through September 30, 2020 in the amount of $20,000.
Any comments, questions, or concerns?
So support.
There we go. And the motion was made by Commissioner Snyder, seconded by Commissioner Nash. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please, on number 18?
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion carries. Next motion,
I need to have the screen brought up again.
okay. Kathy, could we have the agenda back online, please?
Well, it's a good looking crew, but I still don't have the motion.
Yeah, I know we don't. We're working on it, I believe.
Right, I understand.
John, would you like for me to read it?
Surely.
Okay. On CPS 200519 is to approve the Sheriff's Office accepting the Bureau of Justice Assistance BJA Fiscal Year 20 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program Grant number 2020 H1466 MIVD if awarded. The amount of the grant request is $58,000 and $58,008 or the amount awarded.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Is there any questions or concerns about this motion?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Laring.
So if this grant was already came through and was approved, what was the final amount of the grant approved?
Do we have someone from the Sheriff's Department that can answer that?
Yes, Madam Chair. Sheriff Poulin's here.
Yes, thank you.
The amount that was approved was $58,008.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I have a second question. The list of equipment that was to be purchased on this grant, is it
Yes.
complete on the motion?
The motion is as it was read.
Well, actually, the summary of the motion gives some equipment. I'm just wondering if that's the extent of the equipment that was purchased.
Sheriff, could you tell us if all the equipment that was listed has been purchased, or are you still working on some of that?
No, ma'am. Yeah, we're obviously still working on some of it. The only thing that's been purchased so far are the thermometers that we got ahead of time. But the total amount as submitted on the grant to the federal government covers the complete amount of the $58,008.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I still want to continue this question. So it says is to provide personal safety barriers, remote workstations to support the cost of cleaning supplies and personal protective equipment. I am just wondering, is there any surveillance equipment that is going to be purchased under this grant?
No.
Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call on number 19, please?
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion carries. Next will be item number 20. Commissioner Snyder.
To address the 15% of people entering the Michael E. Cubs Hall of Justice that the court's order does not cover to require face masks.
And you also received a copy of that in your packet today. It is
Correct.
the one we approved last week, and it is now on your screen. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Madam
none-
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Laring.
yes. So it says here, I've got a couple of problems with this motion. One, this is talking about personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment is to protect the individual, not others around you. I actually have the coveted N95 mask. I don't know if you can see this on screen here, but this mask comes with a approved instruction manual for this. This N95 mask is kind of the sought after mask for this issue. And it says in here, this respirator can help reduce irritation exposures to certain airborne, or this respirator.
Commissioner Laring, if you will read the requirement, it says in the requirement, they must wear a covering over their nose and mouth, such as a non-medical grade face mask, homemade mask, scarf, bandana, or handkerchief. It doesn't require anything like that.
That's the problem with it. It requires nothing. And so this mask, if you could see, actually has a respirator valve on it so that my air exits my face free flow into the atmosphere. If I sneeze or cough in this mask, it goes out of the respirator exit valve as if I wasn't even wearing a mask. There is no proof that these masks do any good. They're personal protective equipment. They're meant to protect me from a hazardous environment. They're not designed to protect the public surrounding me. They do nothing. There is no scientific evidence that this mask does prevent the spread of this virus. I strongly object to this motion. And the other part of it that I object with is the hypocrisy of it. It says, however, employees may remove their masks while at their workstations. Who are we trying to protect here?
As long as they're 6 foot from each other. I understand
As
that.
long as they're 6 foot.
Your objection is noted, Commissioner Laring.
And
Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
hey,
Commissioner,
point of order. There hasn't been a call for the motion.
Yes,
So
there has.
Yep.
then you make the call for the vote. You don't do it. You don't just interrupt me like that and call for a vote. Somebody has to call for the motion. This is supposed to be public. This is a comment where we're supposed to debate these issues.
And we heard your information.
You didn't hear them all. You have not heard all of my objections to this. You've cut me off again for the 1000th time in these meetings.
All right, give us all your objections, would you please?
The other it takes effect immediately and will remain in effect until the spread of the COVID-19 is deemed non-threatening. By who? It doesn't specify. There's no.
I'm sorry. Yes, it does. If you had just read a little farther in the sentence, it says by the Muskegon County Public Health Director. If you
So
read the
she's
whole
supposed to
sentence,
determine. She's supposed to determine when it's safe for the public to come into the county building, if they can or cannot wear a mask. The other thing about this literature says if you have any breathing problems or you have facial hair, you're not supposed to. This isn't a medical grade mask. This is a construction grade mask that's totally acceptable to wear into this process. This is so vague and so inappropriate. I'll just end with I strongly object to this, and this is hypocrisy at its highest level. You don't even require people to wear a mask on the bus, which is a 30-foot tube. When everybody's breathing their own air, and you're going to make people walk into the county building wearing this? I strongly object to this.
your strong objection is noted. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call,
Madam Chair,
please?
there's no other
Yes.
discussion.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Nash.
I'd just like to call for a question.
Okay. Question has been called for. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Wilkins,
Commissioner Wilkins, can you unmute?
Yes, I'm looking for it.
You're unmuted
You
now.
found it. You found it.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
thank you.
Mhm.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no. I'm sorry, Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. And that completes our,
That completes the report of the Courts and Public Safety Committee.
thank you very much, Commissioner Snyder. Next on our agenda is the Human Services Committee, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Human Services Committee met on May 5th, 2020. It was recommended, and I move HS 2005-12 to authorize the public health to participate in the WIC Project Fresh program as a state authorized WIC market master and to enter into agreements with participating farmers. Further authorize the public health director to sign market master and related Project Fresh agreements with no change in the general fund appropriation.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none,
Great
Madam-
program.
pardon me?
It's a great program. We need to continue.
Yes, it is. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
And this is on item 12 only?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it
Thank,
is.
thank you. Commissioner Skolnick,
Are you asking for my vote?
Yes,
Yes.
I am.
Yes, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
yes,
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion carries. Commissioner Nash?
Thank you. Next
And
item
you
is
can't just
HS.
read you can't just read the numbers if you prefer, since we read the whole thing in the committee.
Oh, that's fine. HS 2005-13.
And that's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
support,
We have a motion by Commissioner Nash, second by Commissioner Mahoney. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, Commissioner
We
Foster.
had a meeting at Eggleston the other day, and Kathy Moore is aware of this. I'd like to find out if she found out if Eggleston was supposed to be included in this.
This is Kathy Moore, if I may answer.
Yes, please, please.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Foster. So we did contact Senior Resources, who is the grants administrator, and they followed up with an email or a copy of an email that shows that the contact person, Joan Rapp, was invited to apply for this emergency grant as well.
Okay,
And I believe she copied you in on the email.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call on number 13 for Human Services Committee?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
yes,
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That will conclude the Human Services Committee report.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Next on our agenda is the Ways and Means Committee, Commissioner Skolnick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on May 5th, 2020. It was recommended, and I move WM 20/05-36, 37, 38, and 39.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
yes on 36 and 38, no on 37 and 39.
that was yes on 36 and 38, no on 37 and 39.
Correct,
Thank you. Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes on 36 and 38, 8 yes and 1 no on 37 and 39.
thank you, Madam Clerk, and that motion carries.
That completes my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. Next on our agenda is the chairman's report and board liaisons. Are there any board liaisons that have a report?
I can report on the Senior Activities Committee.
Okay,
Okay, we received requests for over 50 different programs totaling $4 million. We have approximately $2 million to spend, so we will have to take some, we will not be able to fund everything as we have in the past. This week, we all submitted, the members submitted on a chart whether we thought they should be asked to apply. Officially, these were just letters of intent. So that will be collated. We have our meeting next Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe. That may, Monday and Tuesday, to review all that. So we're proceeding, lots of changes. We're focusing on COVID-related needs.
Thank you, Marcia. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
Yes, on the veterans, I would like to let everybody know that Mike has been doing an outstanding job during this time. He's keeping right up with burials and everything for the veterans. So that department is doing the best they can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Foster. Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move on to the chairman's report. And I just wanted to remind you that while the state is in step 3, or the flattening stage, as they call it, of the governor's 6-step Michigan Safe Start Plan, she has approved that specified low-risk businesses can resume work. Those include construction, manufacturing, real estate, and outdoor work. When the state enters the next phase, offices will be cleared to open, but computer access from home and working from home is going to be highly recommended and required if possible. Next, I'd like to encourage all of you to give our 911 Central Dispatch the information they need to help you quickly visit smart911.com. And a lot of us have already done that, but it does need to be updated occasionally. So it would help you to do that and list, everybody in your family where they are. And it doesn't hurt you to list that you have pets, whether you have 2 dogs or a cat or whatever you have. At least let them know so that not only can they rescue your pet if possible, but so they don't go in on a dog that might bite them on the way through. So that's a really important thing. Also, I wanted to let you know that in light of the restaurant closures in Muskegon, visit Muskegon.org provides a list of curbside, takeout, and delivery options throughout the county. And I appreciate all of you who are visiting our local restaurants. It's very difficult for them to stay open, and they're doing it for us. So it's really great that we're doing that. Next, I wanted to let you know, someone asked a question on Central Dispatch the other day. Construction on the tower sites has begun, and the executive director, Jason Wolford, has said that they will be providing the board with an update regarding the 911 tower project in July. I do not have anything else under my report, so I will let us move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Eisenbarth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item, 12A, to approve the attached $50,000 grant funding award from the Michigan Municipal League Foundation for use in advancing the Be Counted 2020 census campaign.
Do I have a motion?
Support.
I have a motion and support to approve the attached $550,000 grant awarded in the Michigan Municipal League Foundation for use in advancing the Be Counted 2020 census campaign. Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Skolnick.
Mark, do you have any idea how many of these grants they awarded? Because that's a pretty big grant. That organization isn't that big.
Yes, throughout the whole state. I don't know the total amount, but there's a website I was just at the other day that showed throughout the state what they've been awarded.
Okay.
And I do believe Michigan Municipal League is quite large. I know they provide insurance for almost every county in some way, shape, or form. They're very active. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion carries. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you. 12B, to approve the authorization, the resolution agreement to share tax increment financing revenue capturing by Hay Meadows Neighborhood Improvement Authority and authorize the county administrator to execute this agreement.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Foster, second by Commissioner Laring. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? I do have a question on this, Mr. Administrator. Can you tell me, as this captures the funding from the municipality, will the people from the municipalities still be able to use funds from the senior millage and the veterans and things like that, that they're not paying taxes into anymore?
Yeah, the lot that's capturing the taxes currently, it will be continued to be paid. So in that example, that would be yes. So overall, yes.
So so the cost of that then will be borne by all the other municipalities for this municipality?
No, they'll be receiving the same service they receive currently off the taxes they pay now for that. So whatever
But-
service,
But
Go ahead.
they're not, but the taxes that they pay now are going into the hay meadow, correct?
no, the taxes that they're currently paying now will continue to come to the county. This is all future tax on a new house being built.
Okay, and what about those taxes for the veterans and the senior millage? Will they continue to be paid?
That's what we're referring to, is those four will be captured and put into this program.
Those
Going
four
forward.
taxes will go into the hay meadow so that their municipality won't be paying into those senior resources or senior millage and veterans anymore?
When you say anymore, they'll continue to do what their base rate is currently. So they'll continue doing that. This is future tax. The future tax will be captured for this tax increment. Maybe our corporate counsel can explain it better.
Yeah, please.
So what we're talking about is the difference between the current base tax that would remain the same throughout the entire 30 years versus the increase in taxable value over time. It's that increase in taxes or revenue that is captured and then reimbursed for eligible expenses in the development. So think of it this way. If you did not have that captured, there would be no money for the reimbursement for the eligible expenses related to infrastructure to make the increase possible.
Okay, so as we move forward, when these houses go in, the houses, the money for say the veterans and the seniors millage, that will go right to the builder, not to the municipality.
Not necessarily to the builder, it goes to the authority then for reimbursement of those eligible expenses related to the infrastructure. So ultimately, as I understand it, the developer is going to finance the improvements necessary to develop and build on these lots over a period of time. The increase in value attributable to the rise in taxable value as houses are built, that additional, not the current, just the additional tax revenue will be captured and used to pay over time that infrastructure. And in this case, in 10-year increments, where after the first 10 years, there's a reduction in the capture. After the second 20 years, there's a reduction. And after the third 10 years, there's a reduction in that capture. After 30 years, then the county is no longer subject to that capture at all.
Okay, so within that 30 years, the county won't get any money from that
Call
group
the question,
for senior or anything?
call the question.
Do we have, you can finish my answer,
Call the
Mike.
question. Point of order, call the question.
Well, he can finish what he was saying to me.
He finished, you ask another question. I'm calling the question.
All right, we will vote.
I had another
Madam Clerk,
question.
we are voting.
Call the question, it means we go to vote. Robert's Rules of Order suggests. that-
We didn't have full discussion.
Call the question, ends the discussion and calls the vote.
Madam Chair, we did not have full discussion. That's the point of order.
Thank you.
Point of order is call the question. Look at Robert's Rules of Order. I suggest you consult legal counsel.
Everyone did not have a discussion question, and I
You
do have
don't
a
get
couple
to
of questions.
continue discussion under call the question. You bring the vote.
When
Mike-
did he become chairman?
Mike,
I'm not
does,
using Robert's Rules of Order. Talk to corporate counsel.
we
Let us
don't
call-
use Robert's Rules of Order. We use the Open Meetings Act.
We also have
me-
Robert's Rules of Order as
let me-
point of discussion and guidelines.
Let me
Mike,
interject.
please, thank you.
a call for a vote takes precedence. And so unless there is either a subsequent motion to extend debate on an issue, then you can extend that debate.
Motion to extend the debate.
Support.
So we have a motion to extend the debate. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll
Madam
call?
Chair, can I go ahead with a question?
There's a motion on the floor.
We'll have to vote on the
Commissioners-
motion first.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor to let everybody have an opportunity to speak
Commissioner
and
Hovey
extend
Wright,
the.
Yes.
Marcia?
Commissioner
Yes.
Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Wilkins to extend the debate. Please unmute
Hi.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
7 yes, 2 no to extend the debate.
and we will move on. Commissioner Nash.
What I wanted to ask was, I think the clarity we were trying to get is if someone, if this group is capturing this amount for this project, in the future, as they capture this amount, would they be eligible for the funding that would go into the senior millage or any other millages that were eligible for different communities to participate in?
Mike, go ahead.
Well, I don't think, at least as I understand it, the level of service relies on the current level of funding. That level of funding is not going to change. We're only talking about capturing the increase in taxable value from improvements that are not currently there.
Right, but like I say, if they ended up with more than, I don't know, so many houses out there, they're capturing that amount of tax. Are they still eligible to apply for senior millage services through the grant if that continues?
As far as I know, there would be no limitation on other than the program requirements of who may be eligible. This tax capture does not affect eligibility for programs.
And then
that
one
was-
last question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Nash.
I wanted to ask too, also, if this money's that was being captured in the future, the community builds up, they've got over 30 houses, whatever, and the infrastructure has been built, but they end up with a surplus, what happens to that?
There's in the agreement itself and in the plan, as it's been amended, there is a cap on the capture over that 30 years. So they cannot exceed that cap of 1,700,000.
Okay.
Thank you. And I have a question. Anybody else have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I don't know if you look at the material that was furnished, the current taxes provided by that piece of property are $386 a year. That's all. If without this tax, without this, the tax capture, I suspect that property would continue to generate $386 because nobody's going to build anything on it. By doing this after originally, and Mark could correct me if I'm wrong here, but originally that was 10, 20, and 30 years, but it appears that they're estimating that it won't even go 30 years. It'll be 25 years, at which point that parcel will be generating over $53,000 a year. So the point being, the current amount that's going to the county is only $386. It's almost nothing. So this is actually, even though it seems like we're benefiting the developer, this is a win-win for everybody, I think.
Bob, let me explain to you my concern on this. That $386 is fine right now because there's nobody there. but you put all of those homes in there with all of those people, and how many veterans are they going to have, and how many seniors are they going to have, and how many kids through the museum are they going to have, and they're going to not pay anything into that, but all their people can still use all of those services. So the other municipalities are going to have to give up some of their money to service those people for the next 30 years. That's my concern.
Madam Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, Commissioner.
Laring. So my
Laring.
comment is that right now there's nothing coming into the county. I agree with Commissioner Skolnick on this. In the future, we'll get significant income. Ravenna needs new homes. There is no place for new development. This is a prime spot for development, although the site requires an incredible amount of infrastructure, and the developer is going to walk away from it. So we have an opportunity to get a lot of new homes in Ravenna through this developer and potentially significant money coming into the county. If we don't do this, there will be no new residents into Ravenna. So we have an opportunity to assist the village of Ravenna in getting new residents in new homes. The school in Ravenna needs more students. We've already met with the superintendent. He sees this as a viable option to get new students into Ravenna's public schools, and therefore I strongly support this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none?
Yeah, no, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, why has the developer not done any of the infrastructure work like all other developers have to do?
But this is Mark.
Yeah.
They would have to, I mean, they're asking for this up front. I mean, normally in a TIF district or a brownfield, you ask for this up front. It's nothing that they start the project, then they turn around and ask for funds. So this is the process they normally go through.
But a brownfield is totally different than this, correct? A brownfield is when the property is
Right.
contaminated.
Right. I'm just saying, anytime you collect tax increments, you usually do that up front.
But why is, in other developments, the developer pays for the infrastructure? I'm not sure why this is so different.
So Mark, I can actually answer that because I'm pretty familiar with this site, if I may. So
Sure.
This site is not developed because of the infrastructure costs. They need to add lift stations to develop this property. Typically, when a developer builds on a site, he does not have to build this kind of infrastructure in order to accommodate his housing. There is no available R1 property in Ravenna Township or the village of Ravenna to build a new housing development. This is something the community desperately needs. However, because of this particular site is very low, and it's lower than the village of Ravenna's sewage system. So all of the sewer has to be pumped up to an elevation that it can get into Ravenna's sewer system. And the site is light. It is very wet. It needs an incredible amount of storm sewer work, and it needs new roads and lights. And the developer is going to walk away from this, and potentially our community of Muskegon is going to miss out on an opportunity for 60 new homes that it desperately needs.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
No.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
No.
7 yes, 2 no.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter
Mr.
C.
Administrator, go ahead.
Letter C, to move to ratify the actions taken by the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners on May 1st, 2020, in approving the attached resolution authorizing issuance of $5.5 million in a 2020 judgment bonds limited tax general obligation.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and support, motion by Marcia, support by Commissioner Mahoney. Any comments, questions, or concerns? This is just ratifying the action we took at the last board meeting. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Vice Chair Foster,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No,
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
7 yes, 2 no.
and that motion carries.
Thank you. 12D, to approve and authorize the board chair person and the county clerk to sign the resolution to declare a state of emergency within Muskegon County due to the COVID pandemic until May 29, 2020.
So
So
moved.
moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hovey Wright, second by Commissioner Nash.
well, Madam Chair, I have a comment.
Yes,
So it says in this motion, it says that Muskegon County Administrator is authorized to impose, modify, authorize exceptions, any existing county policy, establish practice as necessary to respond to COVID-19 pandemic. We had one, I think that this is an inappropriate amount of power to an administrator when there's no reason that we can't meet regularly. I don't see the need to authorize him all of this extra power when we can continue to meet and resolve these issues. This is what we were elected for. We do not need to hand over our authority to the county administrator.
this is actually an extension of the power that we had granted him when this first happened. But I
agree.
appreciate your concern.
I understand it was already passed and it's ending and we have to revise it. The COVID-19 crisis seemed as if it was going to be a lot worse than it is when it first hit our community. It's time for Muskegon County to start opening up, not closing down.
Any other comments?
Susie?
Yes, go right ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, our health director has said numerous occasions that the peak for Muskegon County is May 18th to the 22nd, which we have not, that's over a week away. So this gets us past the peak, which I think, we don't like it, obviously, but I think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Administrator, what have you done so far with this in your role? And what do you foresee in the next couple of weeks doing with this power? Anything?
The only item that we took up was when the recommendation to stop people going into your parks. There's too many people going into parks. That happened in the first third to the fourth week into this, I believe. I don't foresee anything that's waiting in the wings for approval. We've been trying to get everything to the board. The only other thing, like Kathy predicts, if it does peak up, if we have some positive hits in our board, not in our board, but our Hall of Justice or South Campus, we have not gone through that yet. So there could be some action items need to be taken, but for the most part, everything has, we kind of waited to bring it to the board.
Thank you.
I'd like to say too, that the administrator has been in contact with me and the department heads. If anything involved needed to be discussed with the department head, he has been excellent about that. I wholeheartedly approve authorizing him with this resolution. So any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick, Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes. Sorry.
thank you. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
yes,
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No,
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes, 1 no.
and that motion carries. Mr. Administrator, do you have anything else?
One more item, E12E. This item is to move to delay the opening of the county park facilities, including the campgrounds in cabin at Pioneer, Minor, and Blue Lake parks in the concession stands at Twin Lake Parks, and all the county park restrooms, playgrounds, lodge, and shelter facilities through May 28, 2020, or at a time determined by the state or local public health offices that these facilities are deemed safe to occupy.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Nash. Is there a second?
Second.
Support.
Second by Commissioner Mahoney. Any
Madam
comments,
Chair,
questions, or
comment?
concerns? Yes, Commissioner Laring.
So this has gotten me in trouble, but I'm going to say it again anyways. More people are going to die from the economic impact of COVID-19 that actually are going to die of COVID-19. I work for a medium-sized contractor here in Muskegon County, and we are starting to see multiple contracts get ended early. We're not going back to work on a lot of these contracts that were supposed to open up this summer. We are seeing some of our major entertainment venues starting to cancel. If we don't open these parks, and particularly the public parks in our community, we are about to lose substantial income that we depend on in this county for revenue to support the county operations. If we don't start to open these things back up, our county is going to be in a desperate financial situation in the very near future.
Madam Chair, may I?
Madam Chair, your mic is muted.
Susie, your mic is muted.
What? I really hate when that happens. to
There
me.
you go.
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, I have a question for the administrator. How would this fall in place with the privately owned campgrounds? They're gonna miss their biggest time of the year, Memorial Weekend. Are we, by doing this, is it affecting them or not?
No, it does not affect private. And actually, private, I'm hearing some of them are opening or accepting people. This recommendation follows in suit with the governor's stay home, and the DNR, I believe, recommended the parks not open yet either. So that's where this recommendation is coming from. The private sector is and can open.
Okay, that was my concern, was the small business person.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I have
yes.
a question. I suspect we all received at least 2 or 3 emails today from that appear to be from citizens in the county, although they're the same letter, urging us to open the campgrounds by May 22nd. I'm not sure what the reason is for May 22nd, but this is just a few days later. Is that correct? May 28th?
Right.
Right.
Holiday weekend is May 22nd.
Okay.
But I think the problem is the governor said no more than 10 people can congregate in an area. And those trailers are so close together in those parks.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nash, did you have a comment?
No, I was just saying the same thing, is that the holiday weekend is the 22nd. I'm not sure if we want to do that. What I'm concerned about is that if we just open those up, especially on a holiday weekend, we may end up with like the situation we had in Florida or in Grand Haven or wherever else, where you got a bunch of people flocking there and you just got too many. And all of a sudden, Muskegon County is overwhelmed with COVID cases.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm guessing that you were going to echo that, Marcia.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Madam,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
Bob, go ahead.
No, I am concerned. This is amazing. Commissioner Laring and I have agreed on 2 things today. I am concerned about the impact of all these things that are closing. I mean, all the festivals, the ships that are not going to dock here, the Unity Festival, that art festival was one of the biggest ones in the state. I don't know what the fallout is going to be for this, and maybe it'll be a blip. That's all. I don't know, but I'm very concerned about it. I'm not saying we should open the parks a week earlier, but I'm afraid there's going to be what they're calling a second wave of this.
Right. And Susie?
Yes, go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, I mean, already they're seeing a second wave in some of the countries in Europe, China, and Italy, I believe, and Spain are already seeing signs of a second wave. I mean, that's going to be more devastating to all the all the economic issues, then a week more of this, or, you know, days more of the stay home. So I think it'd be irresponsible to open up the campgrounds before, like Charles said, before a major weekend. That's gonna be flooded with people.
Okay, thank you
Madam
very
Chair?
much. Yes, go right ahead.
I see Bob Lukens is on. Can I ask Bob if there would be a way to only allow 25% of the people in those campgrounds?
Bob Lukens, Community Development Director. Sure, there could be a way to do that. But again, Commissioner, we're doing this in keeping with the statewide stay-at-home order. So I honestly wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, that's what I hear.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Gary. Anyone else?
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes, Commissioner Mahoney.
we would need to, you can't just open the gates and let it happen. We would need to have some sort of rational plan when we open, that we're not overwhelmed. Take a look at what happened at Pronto Pup in Grand Haven. Just folks aren't rational about doing things in a safe manner.
Thank you, Commissioner Mahoney.
Chairman Hughes, I'm just
Bob.
curious, Bob Lukens, were there reservations, paid reservations, that cover this period where people are closed? There probably were.
Yes, Commissioner. We have a number of long-term campers and seasonal campers, long-term at Pioneer Park and seasonal campers at Minert Park. And there's about 7 or 8 long-term that typically come in early when we open at Pioneer, and then about 4 or 5 that come into Minert, when we open at the regular time. So there are some reservations. Of course, the Memorial Day weekend, we did have a number of reservations, and that's a very busy time. But again, that would bring people in close contact to one another. It would require additional logistics to be able to pull that off, which, we could do, but we do have only about 9 staff on now. We have been interviewing other staff, but we're a bit behind in hiring those staff now because of the stay-at-home order.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Commissioner,
Anyone
can I
else?
make one more
Yes,
comment?
go ahead, Commissioner Nash.
And I wanted to also emphasize too that if we end up opening these without a plan, like Commissioner Holman was saying, we're going to end up with an influx of people in these different areas. And what I saw was the aftermath was not only the COVID cases went up, the hospitals were overworked, and then there was a strict law enforcement issue that they had to start releasing more law enforcement in these areas to police people, to have them actually abide by social distancing. And this happened in Grand Haven. This also happened around the country. So, we add insult to injury if we do this thing too fast, too soon, without any kind of plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Anyone else?
I respectfully disagree. I think it's up to the individuals to be in a position to be able to determine whether or not they can go in and they can maintain the social distance. I talked with someone today who would be interested in going in, and he's a very responsible individual, and I don't see any reason why the great majority of people that would assume and occupy that position would be willing to abide by some reasonable rules and regulations. And I think that they have enough knowledge on their own to be able to take care of themselves.
Thank you.
We could start putting that together, the policies and procedures to come back into the park and bring some back for next Tuesday if you're interested.
I, for one, would like to see that.
I'd like to see that too.
Yeah, good idea.
But if we do this before the executive order, do we jeopardize any funding or anything of that sort?
I have
I
not
don't-
heard that criteria
I don't
yet
know.
on any item that we tried to apply for. A lot of the money's coming from the federal. So no one's, we'll look into that, but I've not heard that as.
No,
a-
I mean, can we get risk fine from the state in any way?
Not that I'm
We're-
aware
we
of,
are-
but we'll find out.
Wouldn't we be defying the order of stay at home?
Well, let me jump in. This issue has come up, particularly recently with the better weather, and without getting into the lawfulness of the orders themselves, which I'm sure will be determined by the judiciary at some point. There are frequently asked questions that have been promulgated out of the governor's office related to the executive orders. The last one had to do with executive order number 59, although I have no reason to believe that it would not be the same for the current order. In that frequently asked question, it was specifically asked whether campgrounds can remain open for public use. And the answer was no, generally not, unless those people who are at the campground are critical infrastructure workers to the extent they provide temporary or permanent housing for shelter. In other words, if they already have a primary residence, the governor's office has taken the position that campgrounds are not permitted to allow residents to camp.
Thank you, Mike. On that note, Madam Clerk, I think we'll have a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
6 yes, 3 no.
Thank you, and that motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That ends my report.
Thank you very much. Now we will go into old business. Is there any old business to come before this board today?
Madam Chair, I do have a point. Maybe it's just clarification, but I thought I heard Mark say that public campgrounds are opening. What is the county's position on that? Are we taking any action, or are we allowing them to open as they desire?
I don't know the answer to that. Is the sheriff on?
I am
Mr.
still here, ma'am.
Administrator, would you check on that and let us know?
Madam Chair, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Did you hear the question, Sheriff?
I think I did, if it was correctly. I did receive a call from one of the private campgrounds just this past week. We went through what would, I guess, be, I say, their interpretation. They actually took some extra steps and everything from that. I did advise them, like we explained to other people throughout our community, as my staff is issuing and using common sense when dealing with our public. I obviously can't account for what other law enforcement agencies, the 10 other working in Muskegon County, how they're going to handle the situation. I have no problem with the campground being open. They have the areas spaced out for people to come in. Camping is considered an outdoor activity when you look it up.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Madam Chair.
Or any other old business? I'm sorry, old
Madam
business?
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
So
Speier.
next week, Bob Lukens will come back with some possibilities for the campground so we could reconsider it then. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other old business? Seeing none, any new business?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner. Mahoney.
for Sheriff Poulin, is this National Police Week? In the country?
I believe it is, and I know that Norton Shores is holding the memorial there virtually.
Yeah. I would suggest that we have some sort of resolution concerning National Police Week and supporting those law enforcement people that are in our county.
Second.
Excellent. We have a motion and support. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, the same? That motion is carried. Is there any other new business? Seeing none, public comment. I do see a hand raised, Kathy, for Tony.
Yeah, this is Dalton Township Supervisor Tony Barnes. I would like to maybe reach out and see if there's any guidance. We're getting some requests from the Muskegon County Twin Lake Park, whether the 4th of July ceremonies go on or not. They were asking who would make that call. It certainly isn't a township issue. It's a county park. I don't know if there's any direction from our economic development coordinator, Bob Lukens, or not. So I'd look forward to some of that information because we have a lot of people that are asking. The other thing is one of our residents, as I said, twin daughters, they were just recognized on One Good Thing on WZZM. They ended up, they're doing a huge fundraiser up at Holton School. They are collecting 350 boxes roughly of whatever the product might be that they're looking for that week. And they have been filling the carts and taking care of their community. That would be Katie and Kaylee Peterson with their mom, Candy Morat. So I'd like to recognize them and say thank you to them. And any guidance we can get with respect to the 4th of July ceremony, I would look forward for that information as well. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Tony. Is there anyone else that would like to have some public comment today? Please raise your hand or let us know in some way. Michael Pullen or Michael P.O.?
Madam
Just in
Chair,
case.
Sheriff Pullman again.
Yes.
Just, I just want to thank you guys for bringing up the memorial service for Police Week. I just want to make sure everybody understands. May 15th is the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Day, but typically on Wednesday, we hold our local service here in Muskegon County. Due to the current pandemic, what we will be doing is on Wednesday at 5:30, a video has been created that was led by Chief Gale at the Norton Shores Police Department, did an outstanding job. Really what it's going to be is a roll call of officers from our community, a couple guest speakers and a song, really the things you would see if you attended the service itself. So I would just ask everybody, either you can go to the Sheriff's Facebook page or the City of Norton Shores, or the Fraternal Order Police Lodge 99 here in Muskegon County at 5:30 on the 13th and watch that video presentation, please.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Pullen. I appreciate that very much, that information. If you would get that to Kathy so she could forward that to all of us, it'd be very appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Commissioner Hughes, this is Kathy. I would
Yes,
just like to
Kathy.
point out if somebody is on the phone, they would need to hit *9 to raise their hand.
Okay. Anyone on a telephone? Would you need to hit *9? Any callers? on
Mr.
the
Campbell has
phone?
his hand raised.
Okay. Mr. Campbell?
You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see a digital hand, so I do that way.
Okay.
So this is partly in regards to what I see as old business. 35 minutes into the CPS meeting, District 6 Commissioner brought up the issue in regards to the EO. It had previously not been brought up by District 5, as he had said. More specifically to what I've heard today. Also, while I do not know the Commissioner's oath of office specifically, it is clear that abiding by and protecting the constitutions of the United States and the state of Michigan supersedes all other responsibilities in regards to executive orders or laws, or executive orders, I mean, are not laws. Those of you who are in favor of the EO sit there and claim it is not a political issue. Executive orders are by their very definition political, especially where are in defiance of the constitutions or the 50-year-old laws, what they claim to be based in. This is the height of lawlessness, and you can expect equal response from your citizenry. This is not hyperbolic. I watched the very same thing regarding Carl the Barber yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Commissioner
other public
Wilkins has her
comment?
hand up. Commissioner
I thi-
Wilkins has her hand up.
I think that was an accident.
Okay.
Anyone else with public comment? For the fourth time, anyone else for public comment? Seeing none on my end. Kathy, on your end? Seeing no public comment? I will.
No.
Is there any final board comments?
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, go ahead, Gary.
Marcia, and I'm not saying this to be mean in any way, shape, or form, but you have a nasal thing that my camera keeps going back to you when you do it, and it drowns out a lot of conversation. Maybe we should all start muting when we're not talking. Just a suggestion, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Gary. We'll keep that under advisement. That is a good idea. It's just that it gets difficult and we have some trouble getting people to unmute, but you're right. We should be doing that anyway. Thank you very much for reminding us. Any other final board comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Commissioner Foster. All those in favor, aye.
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 Thank you to everyone today and stay safe. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned.
Is it possible to stay on this for the next meeting?
That was the end of the meetings.
That's